Welcome to Radical Homeopathy. The reason that I wanted to teach this, the reason I want to teach this is I have a lot of people who come to my clinic. My clinic is remote and I serve people of all ages from all over the world. I'm starting to see this kind of blow up of homeopathy in the sphere of the social media space. And so what it's done is it's made a lot of practitioners explode onto the space that have been trained really recently by some of the newer schools and things like that that are out there. And the people that come to me have been given multiple homeopathic remedies that haven't worked. They've been to all these different practitioners and the practitioners didn't help. And I really am wanting for there to be more clarity around a type of homeopathy that can go beyond what's happening today, which is very strange kind of computerized version of homeopathy and the way that it started. So I actually wanted to just show you guys, this is a screenshot picture of a homeopathic program that I'm not without homeopathic software. I do have homeopathic software. But the software has become where these practitioners are placing all of these different repertories and materia medicas and implanting them into computerized software so that you can type something up like anger and it will spew out like 500 different pages of things to click on to do with trying to find a remedy for people according to their mind state, what's going on in their toe, their arm, this and that, and it's all computerized. And if you can just look at this for a moment and see the kind of like impersonableness of this, if that's a word, it's so mechanical. It's so lifeless to me. And this is why I first, in my naturopathy training, when I started a clinic, I really leaned heavily on herbalism because I just walked away from homeopathy with the way that I was trained. It was like, there's no life force in this to me. This doesn't make sense. There's no system in this to me. And having seen so many people having remedies thrown out to them like candy, I have a really bad problem with that. Um, that's not medicine. That's not helping people. And I need something that has not only a system to it to understand it, but I need it to have a spirit. I need it to have a bit of soul because healing to me is when we can reach those soul states, when we've heard somebody all the way to the depths of what they're saying to us and helping them in that place. So backtrack a little bit to give you guys a case idea of how this kind of looks. I have people that come to me that say, yes, I was given this remedy, and I'll be like, okay, what was the last remedy that they gave you that didn't work? And this is a really good example. Is somebody was given, just came to me, I want to say maybe a month ago, and they were given the remedy hyoscyamus from homeopathy, which is kind of like this trickster person. It's like they are, uh, they're kind of like doing these obscene things. Like usually it's kids. They're doing these obscene things and they think everything's funny and they don't realize that other people don't think this is funny. But they're like playing tricks and everything is a joke and laughing their head off. And it's like, what is going on? This is crazy. Like they'll show their private parts and do all these weird things. Well, when I asked this lady who came to me who was like the most shy, like shut down, like upright, like upstanding citizen that you could believe, she was given hyoscyamus as a remedy to try to help her with her migraines. And this is when I just think, what are we doing? What is happening? This person just typed it into a system and it sounded like it would come out with these good remedies. And that sounded like it was pretty good because they saw it on their list in their program. So there we go. Of course, let's try hyoscyamus then, even though it's like not at all that person's portrait whatsoever. So this is the kind of thing I see all the time, and it is so upsetting. Secondly, when I hear people being like on social media, they're like, I do constitutional prescribing. It's so amazing. It's like really helps everything that's going on with somebody. But they don't realize what constitutional prescribing didn't only used to be that you like just look at these remedies in the materia medica and you go by somebody's mental state. Like you didn't just look at, you know, how they held themselves and what they felt about life. It was very much like they were looking at people's tongues, they were looking at people's irises, they were looking at the whole person. So this has been lost in this modern world. And when I came back to homeopathy, it was because I saw some people doing really cool provings on really deep things like black hole and all of these strange things. And I was like, well, there's got to be depth to it if there's like they're doing provings on remedies like black hole and these really cool gemstones and things, you know? Like I'm decked out in gemstones like around my house and my person all the time because I'm love them as Taoist stone medicine is really big thing in my world. So I came back to it and I started to realize like, wow, this actually this does have a system to it. I just need to let some people in here. But I realized that it was actually really rare for most practitioners to reach the depths with their clients, to even want to reach the depths with their clients. I hear it all of the time how they got onto a call with their naturopath and the naturopath read them off their blood test and said, that's what you needed to know? Okay, bye, and hung up the phone. And I want to talk to you guys today really quickly about, and this class won't be super long, so just stick with me here because it's going to be really amazing and I hope really show you some deep things. But why my clients usually cry when they're in my clinic. And it's not because I'm mean or because they're like everybody that comes to me is sad, but it's because when you can touch on something so deep inside somebody because you're following the case and you're listening to their inner experience, usually you'll masterfully kind of ask a question to them that will get them to cry. And that's when we know where that stuck place is. It's somebody finally actually saw me, is what it actually feels like. Like you're actually seeing me for the first time. And it's like beyond this place that we, surface level stuff, like when people ask us how we are, and we're like, I'm fine. And it doesn't have anything to do with chasing labs for people. Like, where's your mineral analysis? Blah, blah. It's like listening to the depth like modern medicine forgot. And so the first layer here, I'm going to teach you guys about listening to the sensations, the words that people are using to lead to the remedies that we do, or I do, and I teach my students to do. So I have a really cool case study that I've given before. So stick with me if you've heard this before, because I talked about it before I did a really cool class called Remineralizing the Spirit for mineral remedies. But it was such a cool case because it really spoke to this remedy called lachesis uh, in homeopathy. It's made from the Bushmaster snake. It's made from this big poisonous snake. And this is the cool thing about homeopathy is that we can use anything in the entire world as medicine. And I mean it, like we can use anything. And I'll show you that in a second. But to get on to lachesis, this woman had come to me. She was sitting in her car while we did the whole case because she was traveling somewhere and she was really getting into her inner experience with me and she was like, yeah, just my throat, like it feels like I'm being gripped by this, like, and I was just asking and asking about it, like, what does it look like? What's this? And she was like, it's like this black hand is like gripping my throat. And I'm like, okay. And of course, in homeopathy, we're looking for the unusual, the peculiar. So I'm like, that's very peculiar. Most people do not think that they have a black hand gripping their throat. So let's go into that. Let's dive into that. Well, I was like, I just, like, also I have this, she kept doing this. Up in here, I have this like bleeding. It's up in this area. And that of course looks like fangs when she did that. Then it was, I also have this overwhelming feeling that that pervades my dreams, that I'm in these opium dens, almost like everybody's on drugs or like drugged up, and like the whole dream just feels like very gross and like disgusting. We'll put that whole portrait together as quickly as I can because that case, of course, took like an hour and a half, but that's a really good portrait for a snake remedy. First of all, this has an affinity for the thyroid. And when people are describing to us the sensations of what a snake is, and also very much of her life was a lot to do with competition, and she just had this big breakup, and like some other girl was involved, and it was a lot of anger and like fight. This is animal remedies. And so there is a system to homeopathy. It's here, it's just not being used. And so first, to make this as simple as I possibly can, I'm going to get into the really cool stuff on the next slide, but I've learned that there are 6 different reaction types to people of how they experience their life, how they experience their health and balance. So people either they want to go back to the safety of like home, their familiar space when they feel imbalanced, they don't want to leave. They feel restless, they want to get out. They want to build more stability in that, like something feels lacking, and so they want to build like more of the home relationship job aspect. They want to hide or like fight it. There's layers to this, but this is the main overarching funnel that I funnel people into to understand what's going on with them. This is the first layer of true homeopathic prescribing in my clinic, anyway. And almost no one's teaching this, but I want to give the case that just a couple days ago, I had a case of I gave homeopathic seagull. And this is not all I give. I don't only give one remedy at a time. I'm going to show you on a later slide how we also need to be looking at what's going on inside someone's body. Um, it's really, really important. And no homeopaths are doing this. It's really important. And it's the thing that's like left out here. But homeopathic seagull, this mom came to me. It's a really beautiful mom who loves like communities, loves the community she's in. They've been living in this house for a while, but she started to feel like her life and to do with her kids and where they lived felt like prison. And it felt very confining. It felt like there was just this limiting aspect to it. And she kept saying, like, I just need to be by water. I need to be by the ocean. I like see myself. And while she was painting this whole portrait for me of like, I'm on the cliffs and I need to be where there's like cliffs and where there's sea. And she felt so restless in her life. Like, I just need to get out of this freaking house. Like, if I can just do anything, I just need to get out of this house. Like, we need to sell it. We need to move. We need to go. And it was like all pervading in every aspect of her life. Like her hair was starting to fall out from it. Like it was just this whole bottom line of her life. Like how many people would have actually ever like listened to that and asked her about that inner experience? And so homeopathic seagull has been this really beautiful remedy in a couple cases like this that I've seen. Not only just seagull, but bird remedies in general. The like one of the provings done of the hawk or peregrine falcon was like this. It was done of a falcon actually that had been in captivity its whole life. And there was this aspect of like, I would just want to break free. I'm very restless. Like I never get to actually soar into the sky and be actually free. And that's a really common theme in the bird remedies. And it's these inner sensations of like, I would just feel free if I could just soar above it all and I could just get out. Um, and so this is where the cool stuff comes in. The kingdoms of homeopathy is where people are speaking from. We're always perfectly describing the remedy we need in the words that we're using. So here's where things click. Plant remedies. I'm going to talk about plants, minerals, and animals in slides in just a second on their own. So we have plant remedies, minerals, animal remedies. We also have nosode, which is where there's this deep concept in homeopathy called miasms, which is actually how someone is feeling in the depth that they feel it and the pace at which that makes them feel it. Like, do they feel just like the last person they're very restless and they want to get out of it? and the depth that that goes. How deep is that feeling? Do they feel any hope from it anymore? Is there like, do they ever feel like they're going to get out of it? Or is it like completely hopeless? It matters a lot to the case. So it's really easy once you see it. It sounds like a lot, but it's like, it's so easy once somebody just shows you, holy crap, yeah, there is actually a system here. We're not just like pulling from this dry repertory. And so imponderables, these are really awesome because this is where I see a lot of people in energetic overwhelm in this place, or rather this modern world. Like you can give people homeopathic colors and sounds, but also if they've been too exposed to things like 5G or computer, cell phone, things like that, we can give those as remedies as well. I know a lot of homeopaths out there don't use tautopathy like to clear specific substances from the body that people have never been well sensed, but I do. I give that for things like glyphosate, heavy metals, all types of things. And so I want to kind of explain this in the deep sensations, the way that this can also look. We tend to believe that like the toxins that we're exposed to don't influence our behaviors, but they do. And it makes me think of this little girl that came to me. She had actually had brain cancer when she was very soon after she was born, and she had to be exposed to different types of radiation until because they realized that it wasn't operable and all these things. And her parents used natural remedies to get it to go away. But by the time that her mom came to me, there was some symptoms here that she wasn't quite sure how to treat. Number one, that she had cerebral palsy, but also when I was just observing her, she would tear apart everything that she was given. Like she would tear it into little pieces. And you could hand her like playing cards, you could hand her anything, and she would just tear it into little pieces. I said, it's really interesting because this is actually what radiation does. It splits things into the smallest possible like atoms, like it splits atoms apart. And so when I gave a radiation clear to her, that's when she stopped doing it. And she started to move on to new developmental patterns. And so we do have sensations, we do carry on experiences from what we were exposed to. And this is actually where the magic is in case taking. And this is what I teach people to do. So let's talk about mineral remedy people. Like I could not care less when I was in high school about the periodic table of elements. I was like, don't ever show me this again. I hate this thing. But now I am obsessed because the periodic table of elements actually shows us homeopathic remedies. And it shows us all of the homeopathic remedies from womb to tomb in people's inner sensations. So people who need mineral remedies are speaking from a place of needing structure, stability, or like it's falling away. So here we have like the new, things are kind of okay. We're needing to add things, and then it's falling away. This is all the way to like the gases, where like there's no structure at all. So they'll say a lot of things like I lack something within me, or I feel a lot of pressure, like in these heavy metals, they are under immense pressure to be formed. I feel so much pressure to hold it all together anymore. Like my life is literally crumbling apart. I don't have the capacity in this. I'm not sure who I am without this. So, like, what is my identity? Who am I? So, they really restore like our identity, boundaries, resilience. And it makes me think of in Argentum. Here we're in row 5, which is a very cool row of the periodic table of elements where we're in life and in our development, we're kind of looking to not necessarily lead, but perform and show people that we can perform and we can act and we can do. And in Argentum, it's either like singing, speaking, something like we have this, it's silver, it's homeopathic silver. And we have like the silver tongued statement and things like that. Well, a musician came to me who actually did really cool work with people for trauma healing. He worked with somebody, he was like the musician while this woman led people down into their traumatic experiences. And he was just explaining to me, like, every single time that I'm about to go play my instrument, like, I always feel very, very scared. And I do it anyway, but I kept asking about how he felt this in his body because Silver already has this kind of like performance anxiety, but I wanted to be completely sure. He was like, "Oh, well, like I actually have felt into this so many times I can perfectly describe it for you. Like right here in my chest, it feels like this like silver ball is like sitting right in my chest and I can feel it like pulsating whenever I'm, like sometimes I even feel it when I'm like laying in bed." And I was just like, "It's incredible. You can't make that up." So what about animal remedies? What about animal remedy people? Animal remedies will speak in terms of they want to fight, flight, freeze, compete. It's me or her. They're doing it to me. It makes me think of a case of from Micah Rufa that I had, the homeopathic ant. Um, Whenever she would describe her burning diarrhea that she had that was like making her run to the toilet, it was always because everybody else was making her way too stressed out. She was already having all this like very fast pace, just like an ant, and all these like industriousness, like very busy, like a busy ant, but was like, yeah, like it hits me in my gut. It's attacking me is how she was describing it. Like very much like how an animal would. It's attacking me. And it's because everybody else is doing this to me. And when she was crying, it was in this place of like everybody overloads me with everything and then it hits me in my gut and I have to run to the bathroom. Or we have things like animal milks, mammal milks. We have these beautiful lack remedies where people feel abandoned in different areas in different ways. And these are really great remedies that I have a host of people who've come to me who've been like abandoned or abused and things like that. And where I really feel like we can actually get deeper than like therapy does for people. It's insane. Like the most that therapists have are these toolkits, really, like most of them, like go push on a wall or like, these things that are not getting to these deep layers. And of course, like pharmaceuticals, which are kind of like masking. I'm not saying they're not needed in extreme cases, but I'm just saying they're like, it's not reaching that deep individual level, right? It's kind of like masking the problem. And plant remedy people will speak in terms of sensation. They'll say things like, this burns, or like it feels like needles, prickles. They're very sensitive. Like they will constantly be describing just the nature of the pleasure or the pain that they're experiencing. It doesn't ever go into like blaming other people. It doesn't go into like I'm lacking anything. It's like I'm experiencing immense pain or whatever that is, and it's relieved by this or this. And fungi remedies will say things like, I've been taken over, I've been invaded. Because what do fungal spores do? They attach onto things and they invade the space and then they decompose it, right? That's what they're designed to do. Oops, two of the same. So, how do we go deeper? Another way that most homeopaths, no homeopath I've ever heard of, is going beyond just matching people with symptoms. And sorry if you guys don't like tongues, but tongues are fascinating to me because they are picture into, they're a map to the body, to the inner space of the body. So we have like the liver over here, the gallbladder over here, the stomach, we have the bowels, we have the kidneys, and this is also like the urinary organs. We have the mind, the heart, the thyroid, lungs are here, and the spine is going up and down. So this was a little girl that came to me, and her mom was just describing her as basically like the terror of the household. So she would make everybody late for everything. She was constantly just like hitting, biting, kicking, screaming, fighting with everybody. And we may, as homeopaths, immediately think of something like Sina. We may immediately think of something like belladonna. But what if we could actually see that on their tongue? What if we could actually see the energetics and the constitution and the tissue state? This is actually the tissue state is this is very hot, this is very flame shaped, very red, but also there's some cold going on. She would vomit like in the middle of the night for seemingly no reason. Energetics constitutions, we are either hot, cold, damp, dry, tense, or relaxed in our systems. And we need to see this. We need to see what's going on in the body because if we don't, we're just flying blind. We're just taking that repertory for at face value and we're just like, yep, because some other old doctor said this, like I'm gonna just click it off and give it instead of like a real knowing. And I found out something really funny is that this is called organotherapy in homeopathy because most homeopaths don't use organ system treatment. And if they do, they have like a really select knowledge of organ system treatment remedies, or they'll do like what they call drainage remedies of different things, but it's like not the same at all. It's they don't really have like a body evaluation technique. So it's like this is how we go beyond, even further beyond just treating symptoms. Really, really getting like masterful here. And so I kind of wanted to talk about when remedies don't work, what's happening here. And so there can sometimes be an underlying cause that if you're not reading the body, you would never know is happening. You would never even see it. So this is what are called radii solaris in homeopathy or iridology, which is the science of reading the eyes and the iris to assess someone's health. So there's whole maps of what the iris, how this looks as far as matching it to someone's organ systems of their body, which is the most important thing to do for a practitioner. But this is leaking through the bowel area. So this right here, right around that pupil zone is the bowel and stomach area. And we have leaky tissues that are actually like it looks like it's cut open. And this can happen through a variety of things, like somebody's received antibiotics and it just tore apart their system. Maybe they've been in a lot of pain, so they've taken a lot of like ibuprofen, Aleve, all the things, and NSAIDs. But this is when homeopathics don't work. We may be missing a huge piece of this puzzle and not realizing what's happening. So let's say in just this instance, this person already has these dark colors here around the iris of the eye. They might not even have a true brown iris. This looks to me like there's some blue sticking through. So this is probably a constitutionally actually blue iris. So all these are overlays. And then we have this liverish color because, of course, when somebody has such a leaky gut, their liver's trying to constantly cleanse this blood. And so it's very overloaded. So every time they're eating or drinking anything, it's going right into the blood. Then we can have a skin problem. So here, this black mark at the layer of the skin is called the scurf rim in iridology. And this is when there's a lot of toxins and things built up in the layer of the skin. And it's just like this is only one pattern out of many, many, many in iridology. And so imagine like if we could see it all the time and like it was just glaringly obvious, like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And we're just like looking at the colors of the iris and being like, yeah, that's this overlay, this is affecting the kidneys here, and it makes total sense. And then we're like, oh, I know exactly what to do and why that this remedy makes sense instead of being like, what are your symptoms? So you go into most homeopaths and they're like, are you thirsty? Are you hot? Are you cold? They ask these questions. They may be asking deeper questions, about somebody's personality and temperament and have a great deal of that, but it feels very lifeless compared to this for me, right? And so this radius solaris, you guys will probably see it on many people because in this day and age, everybody's being given, um, antibiotic remedies and things like that. So this is what I am going to be teaching, a 2-year immersive certification program in homeopathy. And those of you that want to just learn a little bit more, like you're not ready to go for like the 2-year, this doesn't interest you at all, I highly recommend you guys like getting a book in iridology, getting a book in tongue diagnosis, just like to know your family a little bit better. But those of you that have been watching me and you're like, I definitely want to start taking cases. I want to build a real practice. I want to reach people at the soul level. That sounds so incredible. I do help people in this and I help you become board certified. And then there's an option for private licensure as well. So this is how I'm going to help you not only build your whole clinic, but also grow and market your clinic because that's really important as well. So there's 35 seats open for 2025, and we're gonna dive deep into 2 years. And at the other side of it, you're gonna be a fully fledged practitioner. So super exciting. This recording, for those of you that hopped in really late, I saw you, Shan. um, you will be given access to the recording. I'll send it your way. There's some really good nuggets in there. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me for 30 minutes and have an awesome evening. Bye.